Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is December 9th, and if you can't tell, I'm doing a briefing out here in Hawaii in a car right now, so I can just speak freely and not disturb anybody inside the house there. So I just wanted to share that with you if you're wondering why I'm in a car here. But anyway, let's take a look at the visible/infrared satellite imagery here. You can see the storm system developing off our coastline here, and you can see that Arctic air pouring off of Alaska. They're feeding the storm system. It's going to deepen into a nice low pressure system off the coast, but it's not going to move in progressively across Pacific Northwest, but it will bring some high winds to some areas, some nice mountain snowfalls as well before it weakens and drops south through California. We'll take a look at these details coming up here in a moment. This is for Western Washington, some wind advisories for the the west slopes of the Cascades there. And you can see that's going to bring some gap winds as the storm system is going to be offshore. It's going to pull the air through the gaps there. We got some wind advisories for the San Juans, Whidbey Island, near Port Angeles, the Washington coastline there up towards Bellingham as well. There are some storm warnings as well as over the water areas. There's a winter weather advisory for a little bit of snowfall potential across the east slopes of the Olympic Mountains, as that some of that wind banks up against the mountains there and could bring a little bit of snowfall accumulation. But elsewhere you can see the winter storm warnings for the Cascades, big snowfall amounts coming in again. Now you can see here, this is for Pendleton, Oregon. You can see the impacts here. Nice graphic here from the National Weather Service Pendleton out there. Even some high impact levels as we go through Saturday. And then some snow may persist, especially in a wraparound deformation band across Oregon. We'll take a look at that in the weather map coming up here shortly. Look at the heavy snow and gusty winds coming up here. Look at some of the Siskiyou Summit, 8 to 12 inches. That's on I-5 there. Look at Crater Lake, 1.5 feet, potentially Mount Ashland, Mount Shasta City down there. Klamath Falls getting 3 to 4 inches. Look at some of the wind gusts as well. The southern Oregon coast is going to get hammered here. Some gusts could be up towards the low 70s. So 70-mile-per-hour gusts out there are possible. And you can see some of the localized higher terrain winds as you go towards Mount Shasta, Weed, and Summer Lake out there across southern Oregon. So nice storm system moving through the area. This is for the Siskiyou Summit. You can see that elevation 4,300 feet, well above the freezing level there. So heads up if you're traveling down on I-5 through southern Oregon, northern California. Very difficult travel is to be expected. This is for northern California. I had to show you guys this. 2 to 5 feet of snow, locally to 6 feet above 5,000 feet in the Sierra. That's not 6 inches, that's 6 feet. And you can see the timing in the top two lines there on the right through Sunday morning, and Monday morning. As you can see, very difficult travel. Heads up if you know anybody down in that area. If you plan on traveling, plan ahead. So taking a look at Spokane here, they're calling for that 6 to 10 day temperature outlook there in their nice graphic here this morning, and they're still getting some nice snowfall out there as well. We'll take a look at some of the snow totals you can expect here in the maps in a moment. Now, taking a look here, this is the UW. Let's go ahead and scroll this all the way forward here. And now here we are. There's that frontal system that went through. You can see that purple air stretched down across Washington, Oregon, Idaho. Now here comes our next system. You can see that purple air spreading down off the coastline there and off of Vancouver Island as the low pressure is going to form there. But you'll notice, pausing here, you can see that polar lobe here kind of cutting off and dropping that cold air down, becomes cut off kind of on the Oregon, California coast by this time. So it's not going to really dive inland and bring strong, powerful winds across the Puget Sound or Willamette Valley, for example. And we go on to extend it a little bit. You see some ridging there. Continue on into the future a little bit more, kind of a cutoff low moving around, not of a lot of precipitation across Pacific Northwest. That's why we're going to be in a precipitation deficit. We'll look at some of those graphics here coming up. But then you can see we get kind of a north flow here, and this is going on in through the morning of Sunday, December 18th, well into the extended. And I'm kind of interested in this pattern as we go through the extended here. Looks like we're going to remain kind of offshore and cool here, but there is a potential for some colder air to move into the region as well. But right now we're taking everything with a grain of salt. Very low confidence forecast out through the extended. More on that later. Now taking a look here. Here goes our low pressure system moving towards Vancouver Island. Look at that 980 millibar low pressure system. Good mountain snows, big rainfall in the valleys down towards California, especially down in the valley of California there. Big snowfall in the Sierra Nevada, like we mentioned. Look at that snow coming across Northeast Washington, Northeast Oregon, British Columbia. What a storm system. Now watch as this system dives down towards the Oregon, California coast and kind of spreads that deformation back up over Oregon there. Then finally, by the end of the run here, going on through Monday afternoon, it starts to kick out of the area there. And then we start the precipitation deficit, which we'll look at here in a graphic coming up. Now, this is for, here, I'll back this up. Let's start over again. Total snowfall, Kucheri, just kind of giving you a general expectation here across the Cascades. You can see some areas for Washington, Oregon, down to Northern California with some big amounts. Then you can see the amounts really pile up as that deformation band continues to move across Oregon. But look at this, really, except for the lowlands of western Washington, Oregon, and some of the Columbia Basin here, some very good snowfall amounts are coming up here. Now taking a look here, just a general temperature map looking here, you can see west of the Cascades generally much warmer. And you can see if you go east of the Cascades, you're going to be doing some of this refreezing and freezing here as you go through the next few days. So heads up, if you got snow on the roadway, you can expect that to refreeze overnight to the morning hours, especially east of the Cascades of Washington, Oregon, on through Idaho and Montana. But you see the temperature's not too bad for portions of Seattle and Portland as we go here, but we still should remain cooler as we go through the extended. We'll take a look at some of that here in a moment. Now, this is looking at the precipitation overall. Now, let's go ahead and start over here. You can see the storm system move towards the coastline there, spread inland across the region, big snows for the mountains. Look at this drive all the way down California through the Bay Area, Sierra Nevada, towards Southern California there. But then we're going to pay the price when that system moves through. We're going to be in a big precipitation deficit. So enjoy this one while it lasts. Although things could still change here, you know, just even a couple days out, we could get a big change in how the models are representing the upcoming pattern through the extended. So we're taking things with a grain of salt at this point as we look out into the future. Now taking a look at that storm system rolling towards the coastline here. Look at that, Vancouver Island, Washington. Some pretty good wind gusts along the coastline there, especially southern Oregon, as we talked about. High wind warnings are in effect. Check with your National Weather Service there for individual details. You can see the strong easterly, southeasterly winds all the way through the Strait of Georgia near Vancouver Island, San Juan's, Whidbey Island, Strait of Juan de Fuca, the gaps through the mountains and the Cascades of Washington. Again, some wind advisories there, and you can see the high winds across a lot of the terrain. That storm system, you see it kind of just lose its steam off the coast there as it gets pinched off from its mother lobe way up across northern Canada and kind of dies down across Oregon and California there. Now taking a closer look here, this is 10 meter max accumulated wind gusts. Check out some near Victoria, 50 miles per hour possible. You know, some decent gusts towards Whidbey, San Juan's there, maybe along the immediate coastline there for the northwest interior, Strait of Georgia, Washington coast, some of the Stampede Gap areas off to the east of Seattle, for example. Now let's look at the Oregon map here. Look at down towards the southern Oregon coast. It actually showed up 76 miles per hour on last night's European run, as you can see there. So some big winds down there, and that's why those high wind warnings are up. And the higher terrain goes without saying, especially along ridges. Big winds coming up here. Now this is looking at total snow across the west coming up here. Look at the Sierra Nevada. Some of those areas are pegged. Some of them are showing 74 inches there. It's just insane. But big snowfall amounts really across the entire mountainous west here as we look. And you can see kind of the Willamette Valley and Puget Sound kind of get skunked this round, the coastal areas as well. But there's always a chance as we go further on into the winter. We're just now into meteorological winter, of course, which started on December 1st. Now taking a look again at that 6 to 10 day temperature outlook here, but now look at the 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook here, and you can kind of see that below average across the Pacific Northwest there. So we're going to be paying the price after that if you believe the extended models at this time. This is kind of looking at that precipitation deficit as we go. This is for a 7-day period ending on December 18th here. So the pattern could still change, but it's kind of an interesting north dry flow hanging around the area here as we have some ridging around, keeping those Pacific storms well off of our area. Now taking a look here, this is last night's European rake. You see the trough moving through across the area, then the ridging build across the area, and another cutoff low kind of nearby here, but not really a threat for much precipitation. And some interesting small scale features moving underneath the ridge around the area, but those are not wet high precipitation systems. And you can see that north flow kind of exist around the Pacific Northwest here. Now we're on into December 20th, the morning time here, and you can kind of see the north flow continue to exist, little ripples moving down in that north flow here. And the models have been showing this, but I still don't have a lot of confidence in it at this range. I mean, you're looking out 15 days at this point here, but it's kind of an interesting dry, potentially cool scenario coming up here. And at the same time, we could get some colder air moving down to the Pacific Northwest in such a scenario. But right now we're taking this with a grain of salt. We're just watching it day by day and nothing to get worried about yet. So make it through this first storm here, and then we'll continue to watch these extended models, which I have a feeling they are going to change as we go. But anyway, yeah, so thanks for all the new subscribers and new members. And, click your notifications, click like, works the algorithm, helps get the word out to more people here across the Pacific Northwest and whatnot. And I did get a late invitation here to go up in a helicopter tomorrow and go above the volcano. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm hoping that the eruption doesn't subside or weaken a little bit here before tomorrow comes. Crossing my fingers there. Sometimes these things can be pretty fickle. These volcanoes change pretty quickly here. I guess the lava flow is not reaching towards the highway right now. It kind of branched off a different area here, so it may reemerge somewhere else. But anyway, it's been interesting. I've been up there the last couple of nights viewing that lava flow. It's pretty fun looking up there, and you can see the lava fountain just kind of spraying lava into the air. Such an amazing sight. But yeah, there's a high wind warning actually here for the Big Island, so I might go check that out today, and then I might go watch some of the volcanic smoke rise in the atmosphere and set up tonight for another viewing of the volcano. And anyway, I'm rambling on here a little bit about the Hawaii weather, but I hope you guys are having a good day. Enjoy this storm coming up here, and then we'll continue to watch this interesting extended forecast here as we go across Pacific Northwest. And so yeah, I hope you guys are having a good day, and I'll talk to you guys again tomorrow.